Ladies and gentlemen, brother and sisters, one of the most powerful things you can do in life is change the way you look at things. You see, the world doesn't change because you want it to. It doesn't bend to your will. And it certainly doesn't stop to wait for you to catch up. But there's one thing you can control: how you see it. Your perspective shapes your life in ways you can't even imagine. Now, let me tell you something important. The way you look at things determines how you react to them. If you look at a challenge as an obstacle, it will be an obstacle. But if you look at that same challenge as an opportunity to grow, it becomes the stepping stone to your next level. Life is full of opportunities, but only if you're willing to see them. Think about it: if you change your attitude toward your difficulties, they will no longer feel like burdens. Instead, you'll recognize them as lessons, as tools that shape you into the person you need to be. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that defines your future. Your current situation, no matter how tough it may seem, is just a moment in time. It's not who you are, and it doesn't dictate who you'll become. We all face difficulties and we all have dreams, but it's the way we look at those dreams that matters most. You've heard the phrase, where focus goes, energy flows. What you choose to focus on will determine the results you get. If you focus on what's wrong, you'll see nothing but problems. But if you focus on what's right, you'll see solutions, opportunities, and pathways that others might miss. So, start looking at your world with new eyes. Look at every challenge as a chance to grow stronger, more capable, and more resourceful. Look at your circumstances and find the lesson in them. Look at your future not as a distant hope, but as something that begins today, with the choices you make right now. The world is not out to get you. The universe isn't conspiring against you. The only thing holding you back is your own limited thinking. If you want to change your life, you have to change how you look at things. Start today. Look at your problems differently. Look at your goals with a sense of belief, and look at yourself with confidence. Remember this: the moment you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. The way you view the world and the situations around you has an incredible impact on your life. This simple truth is often underestimated, yet it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. Your perspective, the lens through which you interpret everything, shapes your experiences, actions, and ultimately, the outcomes you achieve. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the world itself is the problem. But the real challenge lies in how you perceive the world. When you change the way you look at things, the world around you can change in ways you never thought possible. Consider this: two individuals face the same difficult circumstance. One views it as an insurmountable obstacle, a reason to stop, complain, and give up. The other sees it as a challenge, an opportunity to develop new skills, and a necessary stepping stone on the path to success. Both individuals experience the same external event, but their reactions are drastically different because of their distinct perspectives. The first person may remain stuck, unable to move forward, while the second may gain invaluable insight and progress. This highlights an essential truth. It is not the external world that shapes your life, but how you choose to interpret and respond to it. We all have the ability to control our perspective. The way you look at a situation determines the story you tell yourself about it, and the actions you take in response. It's not the event itself that determines whether you succeed or fail. It's your perception of the event and your mindset in handling it. The person who sees challenges as obstacles often finds themselves defeated, while the one who sees them as opportunities tends to overcome them, growing stronger in the process. For instance, think about the setbacks you faced in your life, those moments when things didn't go as planned, when you felt discouraged or defeated. What did you do next? Did you see those challenges as roadblocks? Or did you view them as part of the journey, lessons in disguise, or tests of your resilience? The truth is, the more you can shift your mindset to see opportunities instead of setbacks, the more you begin to take ownership of your life, and the more you open yourself up to growth. When we approach a problem with a mindset of limitation, we are essentially telling ourselves that we are incapable of overcoming it. We close off possibilities and shut down our own potential. On the other hand, when we approach a problem with a mindset of possibility, we unlock a whole new realm of potential. We begin to ask ourselves different questions, such as, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this to my advantage? This shift in perspective opens up creative solutions and drives us to take action. It encourages us to view challenges as temporary hurdles, not permanent barriers. In this way, we can take control of how we respond to life's difficulties and push forward with confidence. Take the example of any successful person, be it in business, sports, or any other field. What you will find is that their success is not simply a result of their talents or opportunities, but also their ability to maintain a constructive perspective when facing setbacks. They have learned to view failures not as permanent defeats, but as lessons that contribute to their ultimate success. They don't allow their failures to define them. Instead, they use them as stepping stones, understanding that each failure brings them closer to their desired outcome. It is also important to recognize that perspective is a choice. No one is born with an inherently optimistic or pessimistic view of the world. It's something we learn and cultivate over time. When we consciously choose to look at things through a lens of possibility, we gradually rewire our brains to default to that mindset. It becomes a habit. And like any habit, it strengthens the more we practice it. This is why personal growth often begins with a change in thinking. When you deliberately choose to shift your focus from problems to solutions, from what you lack to what you have, you begin to unlock a powerful transformation within yourself. One of the most profound ways to apply this perspective shift is in the realm of failure. So many people are afraid of failure because they view it through a lens of defeat. They associate failure with loss, humiliation, or giving up. But in reality, failure is often one of the greatest teachers you can have. It provides you with the information you need to adjust, improve, and grow. When you view failure as feedback rather than defeat, you become more resilient and less afraid to take risks, because you know that failure is simply part of the process, not the end of the road. Changing the way you look at things doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is always perfect. It means acknowledging that your perception plays a significant role in how you experience life. You might not always control what happens to you, but you absolutely control how you respond to it. A shift in perspective can turn even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth, learning, and improvement. And as you grow in this way, you begin to see the world not as something that happens to you, but as something that happens for you. The change is subtle at first, but it becomes transformative over time. So, choose to change the way you look at things, and watch how the world around you transforms. When life presents difficulties, it's easy to get caught up in frustration, disappointment, or even fear. It's natural to feel overwhelmed when things don't go as planned, when setbacks occur, or when obstacles seem to stand in the way of our goals. But one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your life is learning to approach those difficulties not as burdens, but as opportunities for growth. How you view your challenges, how you interpret them, is often more important than the challenges themselves. The way you perceive life's difficulties can be the deciding factor in whether you overcome them or remain stuck. The truth is that difficulties are inevitable. No one escapes hardships. Life will throw curveballs at all of us, and how we handle them can either limit us or propel us forward. When we approach challenges with a mindset of resistance, seeing them only as obstacles to our happiness or success, we often find ourselves stuck in a cycle of negativity and frustration. We might complain, wish for a way out, or even become paralyzed by the weight of it all. This way of thinking keeps us trapped in a state of helplessness, feeling like victims of our circumstances. However, when we choose to view challenges as opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to build resilience, we begin to open the door to transformation. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid at all costs, we start to view it as a stepping stone toward greater knowledge and growth. Life's difficulties become the very experiences that shape us into stronger, more capable individuals. We begin to understand that facing adversity doesn't diminish us, it refines us. Consider the example of someone starting a business. The road is rarely smooth and setbacks are common. A business owner might face financial difficulties, market uncertainty, or even personal doubt. If they view these challenges as obstacles, they may feel defeated and give up. However, if they view these same difficulties as opportunities to improve, whether by learning new skills, finding creative solutions, or developing a deeper understanding of their market, they are more likely to persevere and ultimately succeed. In this way, the very challenges that could have been discouraging become the catalysts for their growth. The process of reframing challenges as opportunities requires a shift in mindset. It demands a willingness to see beyond the immediate discomfort of the situation and to recognize the long-term benefits that can come from overcoming adversity. This shift doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly isn't always easy. It takes practice and conscious effort to train your mind to look at difficulties in a new light. But the results of this change can be profound. For example, think about how you approach personal growth. Personal development often involves facing uncomfortable truths about yourself, confronting your fears, and pushing through moments of self-doubt. This can be a painful process, but it is also the most rewarding. If you approach these challenges with a mindset of growth, viewing them as opportunities to evolve and become a better version of yourself, you will likely find that the process becomes less intimidating and more empowering. The discomfort of growth becomes part of the excitement, because you understand that it's helping you build a stronger foundation for your future. This mindset of growth can also help us build resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to recover and continue moving forward after setbacks. It's not about avoiding difficulty or seeking the path of least resistance. It's about developing the strength to face whatever comes your way with determination and confidence. Resilience is built in the trenches of difficulty, in the moments when we choose to push forward despite the challenges. And this resilience doesn't just help us navigate future challenges. It also increases our belief in our ability to handle whatever life throws at us. One of the most powerful aspects of this mindset shift is that it empowers us. When we begin to see challenges as opportunities, we no longer feel helpless in the face of adversity. We understand that we have the ability to shape our circumstances, to respond with creativity and resourcefulness. We are no longer victims of our challenges. We become the architects of our own success. Instead of being paralyzed by fear or frustration, we approach each challenge with a sense of curiosity and determination, knowing that it holds the potential for something positive. It's important to understand that this perspective shift doesn't mean ignoring the reality of difficulties or pretending they don't exist. Challenges can be tough, and there will be moments when we feel overwhelmed or uncertain. But by training ourselves to see these moments through the lens of growth, we position ourselves to move through them with greater ease and confidence. We are not denying the difficulty of the situation, we are simply choosing to focus on the potential within it. We are choosing to view each challenge not as an obstacle, but as a lesson in disguise, a chance to build strength, wisdom, and resilience. Ultimately, the way we look at difficulties can make all the difference in how we navigate life's challenges. When we approach obstacles with a mindset of opportunity, we unlock our ability to learn, adapt, and grow. This shift in perspective opens us up to new possibilities and allows us to see the potential for success, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Rather than being defined by our struggles, we can be defined by how we choose to face them. And that is the key to not only overcoming difficulties but using them to our advantage, propelling us toward a future filled with growth, success, and fulfillment. The power of focus is something that we often overlook in our daily lives, yet it is one of the most influential factors in determining our success. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of the world, the constant demands on our time, the many problems that require our attention, and the endless stream of information coming at us from all directions. However, what many people fail to realize is that where we focus our energy determines where we ultimately go in life. This is a fundamental truth. Where focus goes, energy flows. What you give your attention to, what you focus on, is what grows in your life. If you focus on problems, you'll find yourself surrounded by more problems. If you focus on solutions and possibilities, you'll start to see solutions everywhere you look. The act of focusing is not just about maintaining attention on one thing. It's about choosing what to focus on. Life offers us countless opportunities to direct our thoughts, emotions, and actions. But only by being intentional about where we place our focus can we move toward the outcomes we desire. The key here is intentionality. We have to decide where we want to direct our attention, because energy follows focus, and focus will dictate what manifests in our lives. The more consistently we focus on a particular area, the more we channel our energy and efforts into that direction, and over time, that focus produces results. Take a moment to think about the areas of your life where you place the most attention. Are you constantly focusing on the problems you face, whether they are financial struggles, health challenges, or relationship difficulties? If so, it's no surprise that these problems seem to grow. The more you focus on them, the more energy you give them, and the more they seem to dominate your thoughts in your life. However, if you shift your focus, if you direct your energy towards the solutions or the opportunities for growth within those challenges, you will find that those same problems begin to shrink in their significance. Problems, like anything else, expand or contract based on where you focus your attention. Let's say you're in a difficult situation at work, dealing with an impossible project or an uncooperative colleague. If you focus solely on the negative aspects of the situation, you'll continue to feel frustrated, stressed, and overwhelmed. But if you shift your focus to what you can learn from the situation, or to finding creative solutions to the challenges at hand, you'll start to feel empowered. You'll notice new possibilities that were previously invisible to you. Your mindset shifts from one of defeat to one of action and possibility, and that shift brings with it the power to change the outcome. This concept also applies to our personal lives. If we focus on the things that we lack or the things that aren't going well, it's easy to fall into a state of scarcity and dissatisfaction. But if we choose to focus on gratitude for what we do have, on the progress we've made, and on the positive aspects of our lives, we begin to shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. This change in focus can have profound effects on our well-being, our mental state, and even our relationships. When we focus on the positive, we begin to attract more positivity into our lives. Positive thoughts and emotions naturally lead to positive outcomes. Think about how many times people allow distractions to take them off course. We're all guilty of this at some point. Whether it's social media, the opinions of others, or even our own doubts and fears, distractions constantly pull our attention away from our goals. But the more we allow ourselves to be distracted, the more our energy is diffused. Instead of channeling our efforts into one clear direction, we spread ourselves thin, and as a result, we see little progress. On the other hand, when we focus intently on a goal, when we consistently direct our thoughts and actions toward it, the universe seems to conspire in our favor. Opportunities appear and solutions emerge, often from places we didn't expect. The energy we put into our focus creates momentum, and this momentum propels us forward, even in the face of obstacles. The most successful individuals in any field understand the importance of focus. They know that it's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. They don't let themselves become overwhelmed by all the possible distractions and demands on their time. Instead, they hone in on what truly matters and devote their energy to that. Whether it's a business venture, a personal goal, or a creative pursuit, they stay committed to the path, trusting that their focused energy will eventually lead to success. Similarly, focus is crucial when it comes to self-improvement. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we need to change everything about ourselves, that we need to master every skill, tackle every weakness, and be perfect in every way. But this approach leads to overwhelm and burnout. Instead of trying to do everything, it's far more effective to focus on one area of growth at a time, to direct our energy toward developing that area, and to be patient with the process. Whether it's improving our health, learning a new skill, or building better habits, focusing on one thing at a time allows us to make meaningful progress without getting distracted by the multitude of other things we could be doing. Ultimately, the power of focus lies in its ability to direct our energy toward what truly matters. When we focus on what we want, not on what we fear or lack, we create the energy needed to achieve it. Focus is the bridge between intention and action. It turns our desires into plans and our plans into results. But that focus requires discipline. It requires us to make conscious choices about where we invest our time and attention. And it demands that we be deliberate about the things we allow to capture our thoughts and energy. By choosing to focus on solutions, opportunities, and the positive aspects of our lives, we set ourselves up for success. At some point in life, everyone faces difficulties, whether they come in the form of personal struggles, financial setbacks, career challenges, or unexpected obstacles. In these moments, it's easy to feel like the world is against us, that the current situation will last forever, and that the challenges we face define who we are. But this couldn't be further from the truth. What many people fail to recognize is that circumstances are temporary. They do not have the power to define us. Your present situation is just one chapter in the larger story of your life. It doesn't determine who you are, and it certainly doesn't dictate who you can become. In fact, your ability to move beyond your current circumstances is one of the most powerful tools you possess. Too often, people allow their circumstances to define them. They look at a difficult moment and see it as the entirety of their existence, allowing it to shape their identity. For example, someone who is struggling financially might begin to see themselves as poor and accept that as their permanent state. Someone who faces a career setback might believe that failure defines their entire professional life. But what if we learn to see these moments not as the sum of who we are, but as temporary experiences, moments that provide us with valuable lessons and opportunities for growth? Your circumstances are like the weather, they are constantly changing. The storm may seem overwhelming when it's happening, but eventually, the clouds will part, and the sun will shine again. Similarly, your difficulties may feel intense and consuming in the moment, but over time they will pass. In the meantime, how you choose to respond to your situation plays a far more important role than the situation itself. When you recognize that your current circumstances are temporary, you give yourself the freedom to act in ways that move you forward. You stop feeling trapped and start taking steps toward the future you want to create. One of the keys to understanding that circumstances are temporary is to remember that change is constant. Nothing in life stays the same forever. Even the most challenging situations have an expiration date. Consider, for example, the process of healing after an injury. At the time, the pain and limitations can feel all-consuming, and it might seem like they'll never end. But the body has an incredible ability to heal. And over time, the pain fades, and the injury becomes a distant memory. In the same way, the struggles you face today are not permanent. They will fade with time, and you have the ability to emerge from them stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you were before. This understanding of the temporary nature of circumstances allows you to maintain hope, even when things seem difficult. When life is hard, it's easy to fall into despair, to feel like things will never improve. But when you recognize that your present circumstances are just a passing phase, you open yourself to the possibility of change. You can approach challenges with a sense of patience, knowing that you don't have to stay stuck in a difficult situation forever. You can take comfort in the fact that, just as the seasons change, so too will your circumstances. In addition, when you recognize that your current circumstances are not permanent, you are less likely to become attached to them. You no longer see your struggles as a reflection of your worth or identity. Instead of saying, "I am broke" or "I am a failure," you can say, "I am experiencing a tough time," or "I am facing challenges that I will overcome." By detaching your identity from your situation, you gain the freedom to act, to make choices that lead you toward a better future, and to take steps that will ultimately change your circumstances. Your circumstances, while they may feel overwhelming, do not have the power to define you unless you allow them to. You have the power to change your circumstances by changing your mindset and your actions. The key to doing so is understanding that no matter how difficult the present moment may be, it is not your final destination. It is simply a pit stop along the way. Whether you are facing a financial setback, dealing with personal loss, or going through a difficult transition in your career, remember that this moment is temporary. Your future is still ahead of you, and the possibilities are limitless. As you move through life, it's important to maintain a long-term perspective. When you focus too much on your immediate difficulties, it's easy to feel as though your world is closing in around you. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you realize that your circumstances are just a small piece of a much larger puzzle. You have the power to shift your focus, to look beyond the present moment, and to take deliberate actions that will lead you to a brighter future. Success doesn't come from avoiding challenges, it comes from understanding that challenges are temporary, and that you can learn and grow through them. By accepting that your current circumstances don't define you, you give yourself permission to evolve, to create new opportunities, and to move forward toward the life you want to build. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming adversity. And with each victory, no matter how small, you move closer to the life you desire. Ultimately, it's essential to keep in mind that your present situation is just a snapshot of your life. It does not reflect your worth, nor does it dictate your future. Your ability to rise above, to learn from your challenges, and to take action toward your goals is what will ultimately define you. Remember that your circumstances are temporary, and with time, effort, and persistence, you have the power to shape a future that is far brighter than your current reality. In life, the most significant growth often comes from learning to take responsibility for our actions, choices, and outcomes. It's easy to fall into the habit of blaming others or external circumstances when things aren't going the way we want them to. We might find ourselves pointing fingers at the economy, our upbringing, our colleagues, or even our luck when things go wrong. But the truth is, when we take responsibility for our lives, we reclaim our power. Taking responsibility is not about self-blame or guilt. It's about recognizing that we have control over how we respond to our situations and the choices we make moving forward. It's important to understand that taking responsibility isn't about denying the challenges we face. It's not about pretending that life is always fair or that every situation is within our control. The reality is that life is unpredictable, and many of the circumstances we face are beyond our control. However, the one thing we always have control over is how we respond to those circumstances. Responsibility lies in recognizing that our actions, attitudes, and decisions are what ultimately determine our path. While we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we act in response to it. When we take full responsibility for our lives, we stop blaming others or circumstances for our failures. We recognize that we have the power to shape our own experiences. If things aren't going the way we want, instead of focusing on what others have done or what's happening around us, we ask ourselves, what can I do to change this? How can I take control of my own actions and create a different outcome? This mindset shift is incredibly empowering because it removes the sense of helplessness that comes with blaming external forces. When we focus on what we can do, we begin to open up new possibilities and solutions, taking action where we once felt stuck. This concept applies to every aspect of life, from personal relationships to career growth, financial health, and overall well-being. For instance, in a relationship, when we take responsibility for how we show up, how we communicate, and how we contribute to the dynamic, we shift the focus away from what the other person is doing wrong and place it on what we can do better. Instead of criticizing or blaming our partner for the issues in the relationship, we can ask ourselves how we might improve, how we can contribute positively, and what changes we can make to create a better dynamic. This approach fosters growth, cooperation, and a healthier relationship, In the realm of career and personal development, taking responsibility means acknowledging that our success is largely determined by the effort and choices we make. It's easy to blame external factors like a lack of opportunity, the economy, or our circumstances for where we are in our careers. But when we take responsibility for our professional growth, we understand that it's up to us to seek out opportunities, develop our skills, and make the necessary changes to advance. It might not be easy, and it might require sacrifices, but taking full responsibility for our career journey empowers us to make the most of the opportunities that do exist. Financially, taking responsibility for our situation means understanding that our choices have consequences. If we're struggling financially, instead of blaming the economy or our past decisions, we look at what we can do to take charge of our finances moving forward. We can educate ourselves, create a budget, develop a savings plan, and make smarter financial decisions. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming ourselves for past mistakes. It means acknowledging that we have the power to improve our situation by making informed decisions and taking intentional actions. One of the most profound shifts that happens when we take responsibility is the shift from being reactive to being proactive. When we blame external factors, we allow ourselves to remain in a passive state, waiting for something to change or someone else to act. We can feel like victims of our circumstances, hoping that life will somehow improve on its own. But when we take responsibility, we move from a state of passivity to one of action. We begin to make decisions with intention, to create the future we want, and to take steps every day toward our goals. This proactive mindset allows us to act with purpose and confidence, knowing that we are the architects of our own lives. Taking responsibility also helps us to stop feeling stuck. Many people feel trapped in their current situations, thinking that they have no choice but to accept things as they are. But when we recognize that we are responsible for our lives, we realize that we always have the power to make a change. Even when circumstances seem bleak, we can take small steps toward improvement. Whether it's pursuing a new goal, seeking out resources, or making a change in our routine, taking responsibility means we always have the ability to take action, no matter how small. This responsibility also applies to how we manage our emotions. Life is filled with ups and downs, and sometimes we encounter situations that are deeply frustrating or emotionally challenging. However, when we take responsibility for our emotions, we recognize that we have the power to choose how we react. We don't have to be controlled by our emotions or let our feelings dictate our behavior. Instead, we can choose to respond thoughtfully, with intention, and in a way that aligns with our values. This emotional control not only improves our relationships and mental well-being, but it also helps us navigate the challenges of life with greater resilience. Ultimately, taking responsibility for our lives is one of the most empowering choices we can make. It gives us the freedom to act, to learn, and to grow. When we stop blaming external factors and take ownership of our actions, we open the door to transformation. Instead of waiting for things to change, we recognize that we have the power to create the change we seek. This shift in mindset transforms the way we approach challenges, allowing us to move forward with confidence and purpose, knowing that we are in control of our own destiny. Taking responsibility for our lives empowers us to take control of our actions, choices, and outcomes. It shifts us from a mindset of passivity to one of proactive growth, allowing us to navigate challenges with purpose and confidence. By focusing on what we can change and how we can improve, we unlock the potential to transform our lives and create the future we desire.